I met Farrah Abraham.
Yes, you did.
I met Farrah Abraham. And,
I should state that I have no idea who that is.
yeah, that's the funny part. I really didn't either. Did you know?
I knew she was from Teen Mom. That was all I knew.
Right. I had never seen I still have never seen an episode of Teen Mom.
Yeah,
Well, the name alone is one of those shows I go out of my way to avoid all contact with.
I mean, yeah, I don't really, it's not for me. It wasn't made for me, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But so, Farrah Abraham is on Teen Mom, and...
which I don't quite understand, because she's not a teen anymore, is she?
I think there's Teen Mom 2, and that's kind of following her around, like, in kind of a post.
Okay.
Like, what's life been like for you since Teen Mom kind of thing? I don't really know. Because it's not...
Isn't the answer to that, I have a 7-year-old?
She does. She has a 7-year-old now. I didn't meet the kid. I met her parents. Because she's got this furniture store out on the west side of town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cool little place. It's a funky little place. It's a place where it's all very... I'm not sure you'd want to decorate your whole house with it, but it is the place to go find bold accent pieces, especially. There's one piece in there I really wish I could afford. So if everybody goes and buys like 400 records tomorrow, maybe I could do it. But it's a replica bronze casting of a Tyrannosaurus Rex head on a pedestal. It's about that big, and it's in bronze.
I would totally want that too, I understand.
Right. And so the store's really, I like the store a lot, and I don't know, right? So I had never been out there. It was like an hour. It was like an hour drive for me. So I don't go out that way very much. But she has a frozen yogurt shop out there and another like children's furniture store. But she was having a party at the store, and her employee Casey is starting to sing with us, right? So Casey asked me if I could do it. So I was like, yes, of course. I'm being paid to play is my thing. Right? I'm happy to play as long as it pays something. As long as I'm not doing it, as long as I'm not paying to do it, I'm cool. If it doesn't need to be the best money, it just needs to cover my travel expenses. At least until I'm too in demand to. Anyway, so I was hired to come out and play this party, and so we show up and we play, and she told me she worked for somebody who was on Teen Mom and then started a furniture store. Mm-hmm. And I guess Farrah Abraham had done an adult video at one point. She got paid good money from Vivid or somebody to go do this. So she really like cashed in on the fame, which is good. Like, fame is one of those things that's so fleeting. She kind of did it right. Strike while the iron's hot, and then go try to build like a viable long-term business, like a furniture store. She just wicked smart to me, right? So we're at the party, and we're playing, and I met her, and she was really nice. But she takes out her phone, and she's kind of videotaping us on her phone, and then posts it to Instagram and tags us. Within 6 hours, the video had 30,000 views. Isn't that amazing?
That is insane.
Had 30,000 views, and she tagged us, which, that's really, hey, tag us.
That's 5,000 people an hour.
Right. And I start reading the comments.
That's your first mistake.
I guess that is my first mistake.
You read the comments on the internet?
Not only did I read the comments, I engaged a couple. Oh. That was mistake number 2.
Wow.
It was like 5 comments, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
Do we need to move?
No, we don't need to move. Well, because people were saying things that were just like factually untrue, and I'm just like, no, people weren't just walking in off the street. This was a private event, right? They're going, oh my God, you don't even know the band, because in the video they said, oh, what's the band's name? Oh, it's the Jazz Destroyers. That's in the video, right? Oh, you don't even know the band's name. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that was her friend asking, and she was telling her friend how dare you try to correct the record in any way, in any sort of respectful way on the internet. I got my head bitten off a few times, and I was like, I'm going to step back and watch. And a few people followed us, but I could tell that, like, for some reason, I think she's kind of cast as the villain in this show. Because there's this really awful vitriolic hatred for her. Like, they get threatening calls at the store from time to time, kind of. It's really awful. But she's super nice, right? And seems nice to me. If you follow somebody...
You're looking for some rational connection. And no such rational connection exists.
Because the evidence doesn't support it, because I don't watch the show.
Of people whose sole mission in life is just to spew hatred on anyone who has more than they have, and unfortunately, women get it far, far worse than guys. There's trolls will pop out of the world just to hate on a woman for being, impertinent enough for anyone to know her name.
Yes. And
like I've known a lot of female friends who have some degree of fame in various industries, and they all deal with this, whether they're cast as the villain or not. It's just that people, the only way for them to feel good about themselves is to try to tear someone else down.
Yeah.
Which is why you can't engage with them. Which is why you have to ignore those comments. Because they're either too young to understand what they're doing, they're either some, 13-year-old kid being an idiot online, in which case nothing you say is going to snap them out of it, or they're a paid troll, or they're the kind of person who is just lost to you.
What's a paid troll?
What's a paid troll?
Yeah.
He asks. So, a paid troll is someone who is literally paid to go online and leave hateful comments or trolling comments.
And stir up controversy.
And there's many sources that will pay people like this. Sometimes it's, less than, journalistically sound news outlets that are just trying to make hay. And sometimes it's, the dark side of cultural activism. It's the alt-right insanity that we're all dealing with. It's where, organizations who are like, here's a list of people that we think are part of the global Jewish alien conspiracy.
And then people go out and harass them.
And often it's just random names they pull out of a hat. And people go out and harass them.
It's awful.
There's tons of stories about, Russia engaging in activities like this during the election, where they would just hire a warehouse full of hacker types whose sole job was to maintain 7 or 8 fake social media accounts and spend all day long leaving hateful comments and posting hateful pictures on the accounts of people that have been targeted by their superiors. And it's an incredibly easy, duplicitous way to sow misinformation and distrust, and there's virtually no mechanisms for stopping it, because the same methods that they use to spread their horror are the methods that the good people use to spread their joy and their content.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, so it's really hard to stop that sort of behavior.
Yep.
Yeah, and before you even start thinking, oh, this is a bunch of, frustrated men that can't get laid,
No, these weren't men.
No, you get quite a few women that just hate on other women.
Yeah, these weren't men. This is Instagram, so I can see. I'm looking at these people. I'm like, who the hell are you? That you would leave such a terrible comment on somebody you don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Some people think they'll get famous by hating on a famous person, and some people just cannot stand to see other people successful.
It's true, and I want to point out, if you follow anybody around with a camera for 24 hours, and you're going to cut it down to 3-4 minutes,
yep,
you can make anyone look like an ass.
And that is why I've pushed back so hard against attempts to cast people or entire organizations as evil and duplicitous in the public sphere, because I'm so aware of how easy it is to take an innocent action that was made with pure intent and make it look like a horribly mendacious and or malintended act.
Mm-hmm.
And when most of the time it's either meant to be neutral, or it's incompetence, or it's bad luck.
Yeah.
But it gets turned into villainy. How many clickbait headlines do you see where X person destroys or obliterates or tears apart or humiliates other X person? And it's just someone ranting about something online. And I'll find you a dozen that I agree with, and I'm like, more power to them. And then I'll find that others are more that just make my blood boil.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's no easy solution, because the same mechanisms that do good do evil. You can't stop the evildoers without hurting the do-gooders.
Yep.
And the evil is so pervasive throughout our society that there's no good way to eliminate it.
Yeah.
Or neutralize it, even.
But I do think there's hope, if only because it's such a new concept.
Sure.
Like, everything we're talking about is 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
And even though cultural evolution happens way faster than biological evolution, that's still not enough time for culture to adapt. Once we've had comment sections for 50 years, I think maybe at some point we'll develop some institutional regulations and or just norms that help. But we're only just now recognizing the problem.
Yeah.
Once I hear like regulations on comment sections, I'm like, holy 1984 Batman. I don't know how we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Well, just think that, like, a certain political party in this country has tried very, very hard to turn the word regulation into a bad word. And it's a 100% propaganda campaign, right? Because the perfect example of regulation that does exactly what it's supposed to do without limiting anyone's freedom is traffic lights and or signs. Every single aspect of road control is a regulation that succeeds at keeping people safe without restricting our freedom.
Hey, listen, man. I just want to go mudding.
Exactly.
I just want to go mudding, man.
And there are places to go mudding.
Why do I got to drive on the road, man? I got a 4x4. I got dualies in the back. I got stacks coming out. I got the big old dumps. We're going to go roll some coal. No, I get what you mean, but yes.
Because I just feel like that, obviously...
But we're at the 2-hour mark.
You can become 1984 if you try hard.
Yeah.
And there has to be constant vigilance. And there has to be a push-pull between the people who don't want any regulation and the people who want too much.
Right. That's exactly it. So, what's next? Let's lap it.